Noah Sterling liked his mornings quiet and expensive. Sunlight slid across the Connecticut lawn like a silk scarf, catching on the bronze stag at the edge of the koi pond and the long glass wall of his living room. He stood barefoot on the heated marble, sipping coffee no one else could buy, single origin, roasted for him alone, and listened to the mansion hum with the polite anxiety of people whose job it was to make the air behave. Mr. Sterling? Mrs. Pennington, his house manager, hovered at the threshold with a clipboard. The gallery courier is here. Good, Noah said. Bring them to the East Hall. He moved like a conductor who had already heard the symphony. Today's event, an intimate fundraiser for a tech literacy nonprofit he'd helped build, required choreography. The baccarat tumblers aligned by the inches. The playlist signed off at exactly 62 beats per minute to encourage donations without anyone knowing why, and a last-minute swap in the art. He had purchased a set of photographs at a private auction in Tribeca. Found images, the catalog had said, recovered from yard sales and estate clean-outs, all of them Americans caught mid-sentence. Noah had paid more than the set was worth because money, properly applied, could make the past confess. 2 handlers rolled in a crate, and a young maid with a dusting cloth slowed to watch. He didn't know her name. She was new, dark hair braided tight, a stack of neatly folded towels balanced on her hip like a book. On the floor, the handlers spread felt and unlatched the crate. One by one, the frames came out. A prom in a gym lit like an interrogation, a birthday cake collapsing under too many candles, a boy aiming a slingshot at something just out of frame. Ordinary seconds, immortalized without consent. Noah felt the tug he always felt when old images arrived, like touching a live wire in a wall he'd paid to forget. This one goes center, he said, pointing at a small color photo with a white border. The image was simple. A little girl at a county fair, cheeks sunburned, holding a plastic bag with a goldfish inside, ecstatic in the way only the cheap miracles can produce. The fair hovered behind her like an afterthought. Ferris wheel, American flags, a booth that promised lemonade and God in the same line. You sure? Asked the handler. It's not the most. Center, Noah repeated. He didn't like to explain things twice. By 11, the walls were new. On a whim that wasn't a whim, he had his tailor deliver a navy suit to the house and changed in the bar's mirror. He had been photographed in a dozen versions of navy and knew exactly how wealth should drape. His reflection, handsome if you wanted to say it, forgettable if you needed him to be, didn't give away anything about Tulsa or the upstairs bedroom with the door that never quite closed. That was part of the point. Money wasn't only a product. It was a solvent. Mrs. Pennington recited updates like prayer beads. Caterers at 1. Florist at 2. Your mother called. Asked if you received her RSVP. Tell her I did, Noah said. Tell her I appreciate the restraint. Of course. He walked the East Hall alone, letting the photographs audition for their roles in tonight's persuasion. Donors loved nostalgia if it made them feel ethical. He paused at the fairgirl again. The plastic bag caught the sun, turning the water inside it into a trembling coin. He had chosen it because it reminded him that joy can be so small you can lose it and never notice it's gone. Behind him, Lennon whispered. The new maid drifted into the hall, unnoticed until she stopped moving. Noah turned in time to see the towel slide, then realign against her chest, as if she were bracing against an invisible wind. She stared at the fair girl. Noah tracked her gaze, and then her face. The blood had evacuated it. Color lived only in her mouth, which opened slightly. He'd seen that look in investors when a number killed a dream, and in surgeons when a monitor began its stupid flatline joke, and once, long ago, in a bathroom mirror over a sink that didn't belong to him. The towels tipped. One fell, then another. The sound they made on the runner was too soft to be called a crash, but every person within earshot flinched like it was crystal. I'm sorry, she breathed, stooping. The apology was automatic, but her eyes never left the photograph. What is it? Noah asked, even though the question had already formed its own answer and was racing to beat him to it. The maid rose slowly. She didn't look at him. She walked to the frame, stopping as if the air hardened. Her hand lifted, uncertain, then hovered over the glass. There, at the bottom of the white border, was a ballpoint scribble, half faded, half defiant. He hadn't noticed it under the glare. Her fingers trembled. That's me, she whispered. That's me. At the Pecan County Fair. Noah took one step closer and saw the rest of the scrawl, the date in the shaky math of an aunt or a cousin. Lena, 7. July 2007. The house breathed in. Somewhere a compressor clicked on. Outside, a landscaper laughed into the wind and didn't know he was wrong too. Noah felt something old and precise unspool inside him. That cool little mechanism that made him rich and lonely in equal measure. "Tell me your name," he said, although the wall had already started. Her lips parted, but no sound came out. The name was there, waiting at the back of her throat, yet saying it aloud felt dangerous, like opening a locked drawer she had promised never to touch again. "It's Lena," she said finally. "Lena Marquez." Noah let the syllables hang between them. They sounded ordinary, too ordinary for the sharpness in her eyes or the tremor in her hands. He glanced once more at the photograph, at the girl with sunburned cheeks, a goldfish like a lantern in her palm, a face of unrepentant happiness. Then he looked back at the maid, and the likeness was undeniable. Same jawline, same half-crooked smile that suggested laughter came easy before life taught her it shouldn't. "Marquez," Noah repeated, as if testing the strength of the name. "You've worked here how long?" 3 weeks, she said, voice low. "I clean the guest wing. Sometimes the kitchen, if Mrs. Pennington lets me." 3 weeks. In 3 weeks, no one had told him her name. That wasn't unusual. He didn't keep track of the staff unless he needed to. The house ran itself. He paid to make it that way. But now the house had betrayed him, or perhaps revealed him. He studied her the way he studied men across negotiation tables. Head tilted, eyes fixed as if the skin and bone could be peeled away to reveal the terms hidden beneath. "Where did you say this was taken?" he asked, though he already knew. "Pecan County Fair," Lena whispered, almost reverent. "That summer my uncle gave me $20 and told me to spend it all on rides. Mama bought me that blouse at Goodwill. She said if I took care of it, it would last all year." The photograph trembled in its frame, not because it moved, but because Lena's memory shook the air around it. She stared with a hunger Noah had seen in himself, in every person who thought they could rewrite their own origin by staring hard enough. He wanted to dismiss her. He wanted to tell her she was mistaken, that she only saw what she wanted to see. But the handwriting, the date, the face, it was undeniable. She belonged to the photograph in a way money could not erase. Noah took a slow breath. "How do you suppose," he asked softly, "your childhood photo ends up hanging in my house?" Lena looked at him as though he had asked why the sun rose in the east. "Because it's mine," she said. "Someone stole it, or sold it, or," her voice broke. "That was in a shoebox under my mama's bed. I remember it. She kept all our pictures there. She said someday she'd put them in albums when she wasn't too tired from working nights." Her eyes flicked toward him suddenly, sharp as a blade. "Where did you get this?" Noah didn't answer immediately. The truth would sound cruel, that he had bought it at auction, blind and careless, a scrap of someone else's life sold for the price of one of his shirts. That to him, it was an aesthetic choice, nothing more. Instead, he said, "From a collector in New York. A set of forgotten images. Estate sales, yard sales, whatever they could find." "I didn't know." He stopped himself. Noah Sterling didn't apologize. Not to investors, not to his mother, not to anyone. Yet the unfinished sentence felt like one. Lena stepped closer to the wall, until her reflection merged with the 7-year-old trapped behind the glass. For a moment, they were the same person in 2 different prisons. "That photo," she whispered, "is the last time I remember being happy." The words fell like broken porcelain between them. Noah, who had built his empire on silence and strategy, felt the weight of them land where even money couldn't cushion. From down the hall came the sound of laughter. Caterers unloading trays, voices casual and loud, breaking the strange stillness that had gathered. Lena turned to leave, clutching her towels like a shield. "Wait," Noah said. She froze. "Tonight there's an event here," he continued. "Stay after your shift. I want to talk to you more about that photograph." Her back stiffened. "With respect, Mr. Sterling, I don't belong at your parties." He gave the smallest smile, one that had undone men worth billions. "Neither do I." Lena's eyes darkened with something he couldn't quite name. Fear, suspicion, or maybe the dangerous hope of being seen. Then she nodded once and disappeared down the corridor, leaving the house quieter than before. Noah lingered by the photo. For the first time in years, One of his acquisitions didn't feel like a prize. It felt like a question. And Noah Sterling had built his fortune on answering questions. Except this one led straight back to a past he had buried too deep to dig up alone. By evening, the Sterling mansion had transformed into something unreal. Lights spilling from chandeliers like liquid gold, strings of violins weaving through the air, waiters carrying trays of champagne that never seemed to empty. Guests in tailored gowns and tuxedos drifted from hall to hall, smiling too wide, speaking too loudly, each one rehearsing their role in the theater of wealth. Noah Sterling moved among them with his customary precision. Every gesture was calibrated. A hand on a senator's shoulder for exactly 3 seconds, a nod at a hedge fund partner that implied shared secrets, a brief laugh at the gallery owner's story he had already heard twice. He wasn't hosting a party. He was closing a deal. And deals, Noah knew, were built not on money but on perception. The photographs in the East Hall were bait. Donors loved artifacts of ordinary America. It gave them the illusion that, under their black tie exteriors, they were still part of the same fabric as those frozen strangers on the wall. Noah watched them pause, tilt their heads, murmur appreciation at the images. They lingered longest at the fair girl with the goldfish. She pulled them in the way she had pulled him in, unguarded joy radiating from a $3 prize. And in the corner of the room, Lena stood, wearing the plain black uniform Mrs. Pennington required of the staff. She had finished her shift hours earlier, but Noah had kept her back. She looked out of place among pearls and patent leather, but she wasn't hiding. Her eyes stayed on the guests, hard and alert, as if watching them steal something invisible. When Noah approached her, she stiffened. "You told me to stay," she said quietly. "So I did. What do you want from me?" "Answers," Noah said. His glass reflected the chandelier above them, 1,000 fractured stars. "Tell me more about that photo. Who took it? Who kept it? Why would it be in an auction?" Her jaw tightened. "My mama took it. She loved that cheap disposable camera she bought at a gas station. We didn't have albums, just a shoebox under her bed. That's where this photo was. It never left our house. Until..." She stopped. Her breath snagged. "Until what?" Noah pressed. "Until the fire," she said finally. "When I was 11, our house burned. Everything we had gone. Clothes, papers, pictures. We barely made it out." Her voice cracked, but she swallowed it down. "I thought all of it was gone forever. But this shouldn't exist." The revelation hung heavy, thicker than the perfume and the sound of violins. Noah glanced at the fair girl again. A lost image, rescued from ashes. Or stolen. Or planted. Lena's eyes flicked to him suddenly. "Why do you care? To you it's decoration, nothing more. To me it's my life." He wanted to answer, but a senator's wife swooped in, glittering like a chandelier herself. "Noah, darling, you must tell me where you found these. They're haunting." Her manicured hand gestured toward the photographs. "Especially that one. Look at her, pure Americana. Innocence before the world ruins it." Noah glanced at Lena. Her face was stone, but her hands clenched at her sides. "Haunting," Noah repeated softly, but his eyes stayed on Lena as he said it. The senator's wife drifted away, gossiping about donations, and Noah leaned close enough for only Lena to hear. "I'll find out how it got here," he said. "I don't care what it costs." Lena turned to him sharply. "And what if you don't like the answer?" Noah smiled, but not the way he usually did at parties. This smile was thin, private, carved from something raw. "Then I'll make a new one." At that moment, the string quartet shifted into a waltz, and laughter burst from the main hall. Glasses clinked like bells. The party roared on, oblivious to the storm gathering quietly in the East Wing, between a millionaire who thought he owned everything and a maid who had just discovered one thing he couldn't control. For the first time in years, Noah Sterling felt the ground tilt beneath him, not from business, not from politics, but from a single photograph of a girl with a goldfish and the woman who claimed it as her own. And somewhere deep in his chest, a door he had nailed shut long ago creaked open. The party glowed around them, chandeliers burning like captive suns. Noah moved through his guests with the ease of someone who had long ago learned to wear charm as armor. Yet his mind wasn't on the donations, or the smiles, or the cameras clicking discreetly from the corners. It was on Lena. She stayed near the photo, as if guarding it. Each time a guest lingered too long in front of the frame, she shifted slightly, like a shadow ready to intercept. Noah noticed. He noticed everything. By midnight, the crowd began thinning. Chauffeurs lined the drive, engines humming. Diamonds and cufflinks glittered one last time under the lanterns as farewells were exchanged. Noah's name floated through the air like incense. Generous, brilliant, indispensable. He nodded, smiled, promised calls he would never return. When the last car disappeared down the long gravel road, silence fell heavy in the house. Only a few staff lingered to clear the crystal and gather discarded napkins. Lena was still there. "Everyone's gone," Noah said, walking toward her. His shoes echoed against the marble. "Now you can tell me the part you didn't." She turned, dark eyes steady. "The fire wasn't an accident." Noah stopped. "Go on." "We lived in a trailer on the edge of Pecan County. My mama cleaned houses. My stepfather drank. That night, they fought. I don't remember the words, just the crash of bottles. Then the smoke. He swore it was an accident, but I know he lit it." Her voice dropped to a whisper. "He wanted us gone." The words lodged in Noah's chest like shards. He saw her then not as a maid or even the girl in the photo, but as someone forged in fire, someone who had carried ashes inside her lungs for years. "Your mother?" he asked. "Gone," Lena said flatly. "She never woke up. My brothers and I made it out. After that, foster homes, shelters. The shoebox was gone. The photo was gone. My childhood was gone." Noah studied her. Every instinct told him to keep this at arm's length. Yet another instinct, buried but not dead, told him the photo hadn't simply wandered here by chance. "You think your stepfather sold it?" he asked. Her laugh was bitter. "He couldn't sell his own boots." "No. Someone else found it. Someone took it. And somehow it ended up framed on your wall." For the first time all night, Noah felt something unfamiliar, unease. His life was built on control, on bending the world into shapes he could predict. But this felt deliberate. He looked at the fair girl again, 7 years old. A goldfish in a bag. A face shining with a joy too fragile to last. "Whoever put this here," Lena said softly, "wanted me to see it." Noah's eyes narrowed. Because deep down, he felt the same. And that meant someone, somewhere, was playing a game in his house, using both him and Lena as pawns. The mansion was silent the next morning. Guests were gone. The chandeliers dimmed. The floors gleamed as if the party had never happened. Yet Noah Sterling sat in his study, restless, staring at the photograph catalog from the auction. It wasn't much: thin paper, typewritten descriptions, lot numbers. Lot 17, untitled. Child at Fair, CA 2000s. Source, Mixed Estate Collection, private seller. Nothing more. He closed the folder. That wasn't enough. He picked up the phone. "Carter," he said when his assistant answered. "Find the curator who handled the Sterling Gallery auction last month. I want everything on Lot 17, seller, source, chain of ownership, all of it." "Of course, sir," Carter replied, though his voice carried hesitation. "That may take an hour," Noah interrupted. "No longer." He hung up. His gaze drifted to the photograph again. On the wall, the girl smiled forever, goldfish in hand, untouched by the flames that had consumed her world. A knock broke the silence. Lena stood in the doorway, still in uniform. She hadn't meant to come, he could tell. The way she clutched her cleaning rag like a shield gave her away. "You're not supposed to be in this wing," Noah said evenly. "I know," she replied. "But I couldn't sleep. Not after last night." He gestured to the chair across from him. To his surprise, "She's Saturday. You said you'd find answers," Lena said. "Did you?" "Not yet. But I will." She studied him. "Why? Why do you care so much? It's just one picture to you." Noah leaned back, fingers steepled. He considered lying, but something in her gaze cut through his usual defenses. "Because once," he said slowly, "I had a photo like that. Only one. My father tore it up the night he left. I thought it was gone forever. When I saw yours," he stopped, shook his head. It felt familiar. Lena blinked, surprised. She hadn't expected confession from him. Before she could reply, Noah's phone buzzed. "Carter again. I traced Lot 17, Carter reported briskly. "It came from a dealer in Newark. He buys in bulk from estate liquidations. But this one was odd." "How odd?" Noah pressed. "The dealer says the seller insisted it go to auction in that particular set. Cash transaction. No name. Just insisted it end up in circulation." Noah's eyes darkened. "A plant." "Yes, sir. almost as if someone wanted it found. He ended the call without replying. Lena leaned forward. What does that mean? It means, Noah said, voice low, someone put that photograph into my house on purpose. Her hands tightened on her rag. But who? And why? Noah looked at her across the desk. The answer whispered at the edges of his mind, cold and unwelcome. Whoever it was, they wanted both of them pulled into the same story. And stories, he knew, were weapons. 2 days later, Noah's black Bentley slid into a narrow Newark street that smelled of diesel and fried food. Lena sat stiffly beside him, hands clasped, as if afraid someone might see her out of place in the leather interior. The car stopped outside a sagging brick building with a faded sign, Fisher's Estate Resale. A bell jingled when they entered. Inside smelled of dust, mold, and forgotten lives stacked in boxes. Behind the counter sat a man with nicotine-stained fingers and a grin too wide. Mr. Sterling, he said, voice oily. Didn't expect you here in person. Noah ignored the greeting. Lot 17. Where did it come from? Fisher tapped ashes into a tray shaped like a seashell. Told your assistant already. Cash seller. Middle-aged guy, cheap jacket, ball cap. Dropped off a shoebox of photos. Said one had to end up at auction. Paid me extra to make sure. Lena stepped forward, eyes sharp. What did he look like? Any accent? Scars. Fisher smirked. Lady, I don't memorize customers' life stories. But, he squinted. Come to think of it, he did smell like smoke. Cigarette smoke, heavy. And he had a limp. Lena froze. A flicker crossed her face, recognition. What is it? Noah asked. She swallowed hard. My stepfather. He walked with a limp after a car wreck. Always reeked of Marlboros. It was him. It has to be. Noah's jaw tightened. Why would he want your photo in my house? Fisher shrugged. Said it was meant for him to see. Whatever that means. He eyed Noah. Looks like he was right. The words landed heavy. Lena turned pale, gripping the counter. He's alive, she whispered. After the fire, he disappeared. We thought maybe he died. But he's out there. Watching. Noah felt the old instinct again. The one from boardrooms and hostile takeovers. Someone had made a move against him. Calculated and deliberate. And worse, they had tied him to Lena's past without asking permission. He leaned closer to Fisher. If he comes back, call me. Directly. There will be money in it for you. Fisher nodded eagerly. Outside, the sky hung low and gray. Lena stood on the sidewalk, trembling. He wants me to know he's alive. But why drag you into it? Noah didn't answer. Because the real question wasn't why her stepfather chose Lena. It was why he chose Noah Sterling to find her. That night, the mansion felt colder than usual. Noah paced his study, the Newark visit replaying in his mind. The limp, the smoke, the shoebox. Nothing about it was random. Lena sat opposite him, knees drawn close, staring into the fire. The flames painted her face in flickers, like pieces of a life she couldn't keep whole. My stepfather hated us, she said softly. But he hated strangers even more. If he planted that photo in your house, then, she trailed off, eyes narrowing. Then he knows you. Somehow. Noah stopped pacing. He rarely showed surprise, but her words hit something buried. I grew up in Tulsa, he said carefully. Not far from Pecan County. Lena's head snapped up. Tulsa. Yes. He poured whiskey into a glass, though he didn't drink. We weren't rich. Far from it. My father left when I was 12. My mother worked nights at a diner. His jaw tightened. There was a man she dated for a while. Smoked constantly. Walked with a limp after a bar fight. The glass almost slipped from Lena's hand. What was his name? Noah hesitated. The syllables felt like rust. Marquez. Silence crashed between them. Lena's ragged breath filled it. That's my stepfather's name. Javier Marquez. The room seemed to tilt. For years, Noah had buried that chapter of his life. His mother's poor choices, the nights of shouting, the man who stank of smoke and anger. He'd erased it as carefully as he erased every weakness from his biography. And now here it was, clawing its way back through a photograph. Lena pressed a hand to her mouth. So you knew him. You lived with him. Before he married my mother. Noah said nothing. His silence was confirmation enough. The fire cracked. Somewhere down the hall, a clock chimed midnight. He put that photo here to drag us together, Lena whispered. He wanted me to see you. And you to see me. Noah's hand clenched around his untouched glass. For the first time in years, he felt like a boy again, watching smoke curl under a door, knowing trouble was on the other side. Javier Marquez was alive, and he was playing a game neither Noah nor Lena had agreed to join. The storm came 3 nights later. Rain lashed against the glass walls of the mansion, thunder shaking the chandeliers. Staff hurried home early, leaving only skeleton crew behind. Noah sat in his study, papers spread before him, though his eyes didn't move across them. His thoughts were elsewhere, on the limp, the smoke, the past clawing back through Lena's photograph. Then the power flickered. Once, twice. The house sank into darkness. Noah, Lena's voice carried from the hallway. She had stayed again, too restless to leave. Her footsteps hurried closer. The lights. A sound cut her off. A metallic thunk against the front door. Then another. Noah rose fast, instincts sharpened. Stay here, he told her, but she followed anyway, fear written across her face. They reached the foyer just as the next thunk hit. Something slid under the door, an envelope, heavy, water-stained. Noah picked it up, tore it open. Inside were photographs, newer than the fair girl image. Grainy, printed on cheap paper, but unmistakable. Shots of Lena walking to the bus stop, cleaning in the mansion's hall, even standing in Noah's study. Her breath hitched. He's watching me. Noah's jaw locked. He flipped to the last photo and froze. It was of him, Noah Sterling, through the glass wall of his bedroom, standing at the window, unaware. Scrawled in black marker across the bottom. You owe me. Both of you. Lena staggered back, hands shaking. What does he want? Noah stared at the words, cold fury rising in his chest. Javier Marquez wasn't just sending warnings. He was staking a claim, dragging Noah and Lena into a debt neither of them remembered making. The storm roared outside, but inside the mansion it was worse. For the first time, Noah felt the walls closing in, not from poverty, not from loss, but from a ghost who refused to stay buried. He looked at Lena. She looked at him. And without speaking, they both understood. Javier's game had only just begun. Morning broke gray and heavy, rain still dripping from the mansion's gutters. The photographs lay spread across Noah's desk like evidence in a trial. Lena hadn't slept. She sat curled in a chair, eyes swollen, watching him. Finally Noah spoke. We're not waiting for him to strike again. We find him first. Lena shook her head. You don't know him. He doesn't play fair. He doesn't stop. Noah's voice was calm, but steel ran beneath it. Neither do I. He called Carter. I need every trace on Javier Marquez. Arrest records, addresses, shelters, motels, anything since 2007. Priority. Carter hesitated. Sir, there's already something. A recent arrest in Jersey City. Public intoxication. Released 2 weeks ago. Send me the report, Noah ordered. Minutes later, the file arrived. A mugshot stared back. Older, gaunter, but unmistakable. The limp still marked his stance. The eyes still burned. Lena flinched at the image. It's him. Noah closed the file. Then we start there. They drove into Jersey City that afternoon, the Bentley out of place among cracked sidewalks and flickering neon. Carter had traced Javier to a rundown motel near the river. Noah parked a block away. Stay in the car, he told Lena. I can't, she whispered. This is my past too. Against his better judgment, he let her follow. Together they climbed the creaking stairs, rain dripping through rusted railings. Outside room 12, Noah raised his hand to knock, then stopped. The door was ajar. He pushed it open slowly. The air inside stank of smoke and cheap liquor. Empty bottles littered the floor. On the bed lay another envelope. Noah opened it. Inside, another photograph. Not of Lena this time. Not of him. Of Noah's mother. Taken decades ago, outside the diner where she worked nights. Someone had kept it all these years. Scrawled across the back. You forgot where you came from. I didn't. Lena's breath caught. He's not just after me. He's after you. Noah stood frozen, the photograph trembling slightly in his hand. For the first time, he realized Javier Marquez's game wasn't about money. It was about revenge. Night again. The motel air was thick with mold and smoke. Noah held the photograph of his mother as if it were a loaded weapon. Beside him, Lena trembled but did not look away. From the hallway came the drag of a limp, slow and deliberate. Then Javier Marquez filled the doorway. Older, thinner, but his presence still poisoned the room. A cigarette dangled from his fingers, its ember glowing like a watchful eye. Well, Javier rasped, grinning through yellow teeth. The Sterling boy, and my little stepdaughter. A family reunion. Lena flinched at the word family. Noah didn't move. Why drag us here? What do you want? Javier stepped inside, shutting the door behind him. What I've always wanted. Payback. You two live in houses of glass, while I rot in motels. I gave your mothers my years, and you both left me with nothing. So I thought, why not remind you of where you come from? Show the world the dirt under your diamonds. Noah's voice was ice. You think you can blackmail me with a photograph? Javier chuckled. Not just one. I kept plenty. Your mother, Noah. Her debts. Her letters. Things you buried. And Lena, your mama's shoebox? I saved pieces before the fire finished the rest. You'd be amazed what stories those ashes tell. Lena's hands balled into fists. You destroyed her, and now you want to destroy us. Javier's grin widened. Exactly. Unless you pay. Money, silence, recognition. I don't care which. But you two will remember me. Noah stepped forward, close enough to smell the stale smoke on him. For once, he didn't think of strategy or wealth. He thought of nights in Tulsa, of fists through drywall, a fear he had promised never to feel again. You're finished, Javier, Noah said quietly. The only thing you'll be remembered for is failure. Javier sneered, then reached into his jacket. Lena gasped. Noah moved faster, knocking the man against the wall. The cigarette fell, burning a hole into the filthy carpet. A small black pistol clattered to the floor. For a moment, all three stared at it. Then Lena kicked it away, her voice shaking but fierce. No more fire. No more smoke. You don't get to hurt us again. Police sirens wailed in the distance. Carter had called them, Noah realized dimly. It was over. When the officers dragged Javier out, cursing and spitting, Noah and Lena stood in the ruined room, silence thick between them. Finally, Noah turned to her. He wanted to chain us to the past, but we're not his anymore. Lena's eyes filled, but she nodded. No, we're free. For the first time in years, Noah believed it. Outside, the storm broke. Rain washed over the cracked sidewalks, carrying ashes away into the dark river. And in that moment, past and present finally let go.